really pumped up. And his thing was, make a move, make a move, make a move, get yourself going. Tell you, another thing that works. I mean,
anchoring. You guys know what anchoring is? Have you ever been to a speaker's event?
It's getting hot in here, Amory.
Anchoring, you can do it. I do this with clients just to show you.
No?
You guys know what anchoring is? So if you're over here and you're talking about something that's not positive, and then you go over here and you do something like this or this, psychologically, everything over here is positive. When you go over here, everything else may not be positive. So when you're with your clients, you could do anchoring when you present and change the entire temperament of the conversation.
Absolutely. Because you start, getting negative on yourself. And, athletes do this all the time. I mean, they get themselves ready. But, hey, Tony Robbins, we could go on and on and on with him. He's a master. And, we're actually going to have, in January, they're coming to do a presentation for us at our meeting, a Tony Robbins guy. So, what? So, anyway, all right. So now, Sean, Rest Assured Home Inspections. Give us the bad news, Sean.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, this is Rest Assured Home Inspections. This is Sean. He came out of the crawl space in muck and mire and hopefully not sewage to get here. No, he's all right. He smells good.
So good to see everyone again. Hope everyone's having a good time. All right. So just kind of want to reiterate kind of some of the things that we hit on last month as far as the radon data that's coming out. There's strong evidence to suggest that the average level that we're measuring, basically because of the more tests that have taken place over the last 10 years, the average concentration for each county is basically going to go up. So we think that there's going to be a lot more testing taking place in the near future, just because buyers are going to be more aware of it, the increased radon levels, just because we've done a lot more testing over the last 10 years. So I do expect that we're going to do a lot more radon testing come springtime. And then the other thing, given that it's the end of the season, things are starting to slow down, we're already starting to think into next spring. So if you have any sellers that that they're going to be interested in listing their house on the market next couple months, in 6 months, next spring, whatever it may be, I highly recommend to do our pre-sale inspection, where we come in, check everything out. A lot of your sellers have probably been in their house for 10, 15 years. They've gotten used to the quirks that are with any house. And don't realize that, hey, this light switch doesn't work. It hasn't worked for 20 years. Not a big deal. In an inspection, we're going to call that out, and that might scare someone, or whatever it may be. So I just say, think ahead to the future. If you guys have clients or anyone in your network that they're going to be interested in listing their house in the next year, don't wait on that pre-sale inspection, because depending on what we find, gives you guys and the seller some time to kind of get those things repaired and taken care of before you ever hit the market. It really saves a lot of help.
I have a client right now who wanted to negotiate my percentage, and in order to keep the deal, I did. But then I said I'm not going to do this, and this that I include, and one of them is the home inspection. Well, he's screwed right now, because if he did the home inspection months ago, now the report is being negotiated left and right. He's not only 50 grand off his list price, but they're going to want more money now, and it was stupid.
It's all things that are very.
And he didn't want me to do it. He wanted to pay less. So now he's really the one.
Most of the time, like I said, it's stuff you've lived in the house for 15, 20 years. You just get used to that stuff, and when you have someone like our company come in who knows what they're looking at, can spot out some pretty obvious defects that are just going to make the entire process go so much smoother. So that's kind of my pitch to you guys on that, on the pre-sale inspection. And then obviously for our normal home inspections for your buyers, we're not looking to scare anyone, obviously. We're just looking to kind of call balls and strikes. And then at that point, we kind of figure out what our priorities are. And go ahead, Denise. Yeah, so like a standard furnace HVAC like AC system, they're about 15, 20 years. You're lucky to get on the 20-year side of that. Yeah, and especially like nowadays, to be honest with you, like it really is true. They don't make things like they used to anymore because they want to have those repeat customers. They don't want to sell you, a furnace and then you have it for 30, 40 years. So things do break down more than they used to in the past. So I actually used to work for an HVAC company. They would say the furnaces and ACs about 15 years. A boiler system that has baseboards and radiators can last anywhere from like 20 to 30. Hot water heater, you're looking about 10. Depending on the content of your water. So if you have super hard water in the area, like you're in a well, whatever it is, that can really limit the life expectancy of a hot water heater. I've seen them go as soon as 5 years. It depends on the content of the water. But if you're on city water, it's usually 10 years.
One more question. So tankless versus a hot water tank.
Yeah, traditional tank.
Does one last longer than the other?
Usually the tankless systems do last a little bit longer, not significantly longer, but you're looking 15 years on a tankless system. The nice thing with the tankless systems is if they do break down or have any sort of issue, you can usually fix them. Versus a traditional tanked hot water heater, the second that starts to leak, 90% of the time you're looking at replacing it. The tankless systems, they sell parts for them. There's a lot more options with a tankless system, but they're a little more expensive also at the same time. So.
But it seems like it's even worth it in the long run.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean it's
Water heater, what's that like?
hot water. Like a traditional tanked hot water is about 10 years, and the tankless is about 15.
So mine's gonna be 10 next year.
So just start thinking about it. So like if you do your like annual flushes every year, most people don't. I don't do them because there's honestly, because exactly. So most people don't. Like I said, I don't even flush my hot water heater because they're, because they all pretty much last about 10 years as long as you're not having any sort of like issues with it or anything like that. That's the thing with the hot water heaters is they're like ticking time bombs. You don't really know until they go. So you should be definitely thinking about it. Maybe have a plumber come in and do a flush on it and see like what the inside of it looks like, and then at that point, figure out if you want to replace it. Yeah.
Denise's question is very specific about a condo. So does that mean single family will last?
They work the same. So the biggest thing with that is more square footage wise. And that's a little bit above what we do as home inspectors. So, if your HVAC guy sells you a system that could handle, a square footage twice of what you have, it's going to last longer because that motor's not going to be running as often to kind of condition that space. So square footage is more relevant than style of house or type of dwelling, basically.
Said that the average levels are going up.
Yeah, so
Here's something that I'm kind of curious about.
Sure.
Is there like a database somewhere that shows where radon is?
So the state does release data every once in a while. They haven't done it in 10 years, and they typically do it about every 10 years, which is why we think they're going to be releasing some updated data soon. The only place that compiles that data is the various laboratories across the state and the state itself. So based on the people that I've spoken with who are in the Department of Environmental Protection with New Jersey, as well as my lab that I work with, pretty much the consensus is because radon testing has become more prevalent over the last 10 years from the last time that they let out that data, they're thinking every county basically across the board is going to have, they're separated into 3 tiers. So it's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Tier 1, very low levels of radon. Tier 3, super high levels. They think pretty much their assumption is that almost every county in New Jersey is going to be a minimum tier 2. So yeah, just because of the amount of testing that it's gotten so much popular over the years that there's so much more data available than there was previously.
Right, so that's kind of what I was asking about the data. So do we have a feel that there's more concentration?
So I can send you guys a a link to the latest map that New Jersey released. Like I said, I want to say it was 2014 that it was last released. I can send that over to you guys, and that basically just breaks it down by county as to if you're a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and that's basically kind of what the.
Is it gonna be the number 4 picocures?
It's still the same. It's exactly. So that threshold is exactly the same. The only difference is we're getting new information from the state from all the tests over the last 10 years, basically. So nothing's going to change with the process. It's just informing the buyers of like, hey, this county, which we didn't think had super high levels, is now showing that like 1 out of every 4 houses has high radon, or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? So nothing's changing with the process itself, just the actual data that informs our buyers and our testing and everything like that. Any other questions?
I like to throw drama out there all the time, so this is
Go for it.
everybody to chew on.
Love it.
Since we're talking about mechanicals and ages and life expectancy of those mechanicals,
Sure.
whether you're taking a listing or working with a buyer, everybody fills out or looks at a seller's disclosure.
Sure.
So when you're pricing a listing to go on, and all of those mechanicals are at the end of their useful life, I, like other really good agents, will take into account pricing the age of those things. Seller's disclosure goes out there, buyer's agent works with buyer looks at it and says, oh, I'm going to reduce my offer price based on replacing all of these things. Now, my question to everybody, and including you, like, how do you navigate through the offer or the agent writing the offer, being that agent or receiving that offer, and pricing, because you lose face with your client if you're going to get lowball offers? It's like, this keeps me
Yeah,
up at night.
so, and especially in this market, what I found, and I'm sure everyone else has found, is like in this market, if it's working, there's not much really anyone can say about it, because, I mean, there is the anomaly of having an air conditioning system that lasts 30 years. You know what I mean? So that does happen. So like I said, usually as long as it's working in good condition and there's no immediate safety hazards, because I mean that can happen with a furnace. If it's still heating the house, but there's a cracking in the heat exchanger, we have to replace that. Like, that's not something that we can mess around with. That has to be, but even though it's still serving the function, you know what I mean? So it just depends, as long as there's no safety issues with it, and there's no immediate sign of like disrepair, basically, that like, hey, I can see the leak in the refrigerant, or in the coil and the condenser outside. This thing's going to be out of refrigerant in 2 weeks, basically. So.
You can always put an agent notes.
Inevitably, Jareen, like, I'll price it in light of what needs or what we foresee as needing replacement, and people still come in lower, and I'm like, read it, and then I lose face,
You have a home warranty on it,
typically,
and
but,
they don't care about that?
well, then they do some digging and find out what the covers and what it doesn't cover, and things that it doesn't cover.
It doesn't cover, right.
Small amount.
Right.
Just 2 notes on what Sean's talking about. Number 1, why, for the newer agents, would we do a pre-home inspection when the seller says to you, Denise, the buyer's going to do the inspection. Why should I do one? Exactly. Because when the buyer finds it, they want $5,000 credit for something that you could probably fix for
$500.
$500.
Yeah.
$500.
Right.
Yeah. So absolutely. The other thing is Mike couldn't be here, but he will be at our lunch and learn on Friday in the Homedale office, 12 o'clock. We will have lunch about home warranties. Larry will be there and Maggie will be there. And I know
I'll be
you're
there. I'll be there. I was able to
Sean
work
will
it out.
be there
I'll be
on
there.
how to use these guys and gals to get listings and get buyers to sign buyer agency. Okay? Lunch and learn on Friday. So
Perfect.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, sir.
Glad
Appreciate
there's no
it.
bad news.
Never any bad news. You know that. You know that.
Good. All right, I got some housekeeping before our featured presentation today. Number one, Anne-Marie, if you could just we want to remind everybody about the Salvation Army. We have the Salvation Army coming up. We do this every year. Just like Larry's cause, this is a great cause. It's children that would not be getting a Christmas gift. But what I always have said I love about this is they get to choose their gift. So in other words, it's not just a random gift, it's something that they asked for. So Anne-Marie, you want to just say a couple words on that?
I started this like 20 years ago, and it's with the Salvation Army. Everywhere I work, I kind of what it should be. They all become families that are from our area, and they do have to qualify to be part of the program. And all these children have like a wish list. Yes, and every year that they wish that they could possibly get a Christmas gift. The parents can't afford to give their children Christmas. So we have been very successful. We've been very, very generous agents. Larry has been extremely generous in the past few years as well. And it's just a great feeling. They come, they're very grateful. You go up the truck, and then you know that these kids are getting something for Christmas. So I'll be sending out some information. I actually have to contact them this week, and I'll find out exactly when. Usually it's like around December 10th they can come and they pick up all the gifts. So it's just a great cause. So I'll be sending out some information to everybody.
Yeah, thanks. And I just have to, how proud I am of our company, because every year they're like, oh my God, how many gifts that we get when you take that angel from the tree. So thanks, Anne-Marie, for bringing that to us. It's just a wonderful thing. Gives you a lot of joy. Another initiative that we're doing that Janice does is lunch break, our collection of food, okay? I'll have Janice say a word in a minute, but what I'd like to say to you, to the agents, you know, we're always talking to you about calling your database, right, Larry? Call your database, call your database. Well, I don't know, you know, whatever. I don't know, I don't want to bother them, whatever. This is a great way to call your sphere of influence about a charity, thank you, Jerry, that we're collecting food for a pantry that gives free meals to the poor, to people that can't. They're way down on their food supply. Last year we had over 1,500 pounds of food that we got. So we have the banner we're gonna be putting up on the office. And Janice, you want to just say a few words on that?
Lunch break is in Red Bank, and the last 6 years we've been doing this drive has been really successful, and I do need everybody's help. It's a company-wide event, and as Bob said, it's a great way to call your clients and ask them to help out, and believe me when I tell you, they're more than willing. Some people have even sent the food through Amazon. If people can't bring the food in or they want to send it through Amazon, and we more than happy to go and pick it up. And that's a great way of seeing your clients and just, saying hi to them and touching base with them. So it's a win-win for everybody, because you're doing something really good for the community, and you're also reaching out to your clients and staying in front of their face. So, and just to let you guys know, last year when we jumped the food off, that was the best year we ever had. And if you could see the faces of the volunteers at lunch break, it's just amazing how grateful, they were so thankful for all the food. So if everybody could chip in, reach out to your clients, as I said, it's underway, the food drive is underway, and we need to get busy.
Yeah.
Also, on the day that we're going to, Janice will tell us the day that we're going to bring the food, we would
volunteers to help load cars up and get the food there, because not everybody has a, big truck or anything like that, so, and we all could,
And we'll be,
some muscles.
yeah, we'll be taking a lot of pictures so that you can use on your social media to show, what you're doing for a charity.
Also, one last thing, Addison put together a flyer, and all of you can use that flyer. I think the Mary or Anne Marie is going to send that flyer out. So
If you want to pass it around.
email, you can use that. You can post
Addison, you have to orchestra. I don't know what you're saying.
so that clients, you will mail out with it. So you should be receiving that hopefully today, so that you can use that flyer as well.
Yeah, it's here to see. And one of the other things that I'm hoping, I'm going to ask Janice, we haven't talked about this yet, but years ago, what we did was we actually went there as a group. We had about 12 of us, and I can't tell you how rewarding it was we had Adrian, you were great with the mop. She was mopping up and cleaning. Your house must be spotless. It is. We were in the basement, stacking the food, because you have to look at the expiration dates, because they won't take certain things after a date. We had them on the shelving. We were serving. You see these people coming in that, just coming in to get something to eat. We were serving them, cleaning up, and it was a wonderful experience to, as Larry always says, have some gratitude of what we got, because you don't realize how many people out there are down and out. So it's a really good thing. So these are things that, we talk about making sales and getting listings and making a lot of money, but these are the things that we give back, and I'm proud of the company, the things that we do. One other event that we're going to do, Jareen, if you want to talk about this, we're having a pie event, okay? So I know that the managers are participating, and we are, and some of the other agents, but we're opening it up to the whole company. And what it is we're going to start, getting to your sphere of influence. Again, another thing that we're trying to be able to do things so that you can engage with your database to have a strong relationship. And it's a pumpkin, or I'll let Jareen explain it to you, a pumpkin or an apple pie. And all right, go ahead. And it's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
So events like this for your sphere of influence is important, because it builds, a connection with them. And, this is how you get referral business, by giving. Don't keep asking for things. When you give something, you will get things in return in tenfold. So one of the things that I've done for the last 7 years is I've had a Thanksgiving pie event, and what I did was just invite my clients to come, and they get a choice of pie. There's a whole process. We're going to go over this with you, but what we wanted to do was have the whole company participate, because we've been trained by many times here with Willie Miranda and our mastermind group, and these are things that they brought to us over the years that they did with other national trainers and things across the country that do stuff, and they all of these big producers and companies do things like this. I see local other companies as well, but the point here is we're going to have a whole thing set out for you, a whole plan of action. You're going to get a flyer that you can create, you can send out, and what you would do is set up an invite for your clients to invite them to come to the event and to participate by choosing a pumpkin or an apple pie. We're making it really simple. We're not putting 3 or 4 different selections there. You're going to go and you're going to purchase these pies, and you're going to have them there for your clients. And when they come in the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, we're going to be basically on the flyer, then information that you converse with them is that from 11 to 7, you don't have to sit there all day. Your clients may say, I'm going to come earlier, but from 11 to 7 is when they can come by and get a pie. pick up their pie. You're going to want to be there because you're going to have a conversation with them. And you're going to talk with them, greet them, have maybe, you know, we're going to have some nice refreshments. Thank you
We'll have wine and cider
for the
and
clients.
some food.
And just, you know, it's a nice pre-holiday get-together. I can tell you that with, you know, even if you get one person, don't think it's a failure. It's always good that you went out there and you tried and that you offered it to your clients and they see that they were invited or were given an opportunity to participate in something. It makes them feel special. And the thing of it is, you know, every year it gets bigger and bigger, and every year I get more and more deals, leads, I should say, from that somebody's interested to buy their second home, or they know somebody that's going to purchase, or their son just got married and they need to buy something, or, my daughter's off to college, it's time to downsize. It just leads to probably something that you didn't think you were going to get because you're not picking the phone up and calling them. So it's really a great thing. We're going to put it all together, send it out to you. Your managers are going to go over it with you in their meetings. And if you have any questions, just ask me or the staff or managers, okay?
Yeah, so it's going to be great. It's going to be that whole day, people coming. The thing what I've seen is client parties. That's something that we're going to be hoping a lot of the agents will be doing for their clients. But I've seen Denise, I've seen Janice, I've seen Jareen. They do client parties, and they invite 100, 150 people, right? Say to a client party, you're like, oh my God, I got it, you know, to a cocktail hour or something like that. Well, 20 people show up, okay? But the thing about it is you invited them all. So it's a very important thing. They don't come, but they got the invite. So it's the same thing with the pies. But it's going to be a great day. We're going to have a lot of fun. Willie Miranda, again, as you know, who spoke last meeting, one of our trainers and coaches and mentors, they gave out over 400 pies last year with his company. And again, same thing in his office. If they can't come, deliver it, and then you go to their house. So it's going to be a fun thing, and we'll have it all set up for you. All you need to do is implement it. Okay? All right. So now, without further ado, Matt. How you doing, Matt? I met Matt at the Connect and Elevate presentation with Frank Soma. Frank, glad you're here. Nice to be here. And I met Matt there, and you're very welcome. And it was very inspired. He's going to talk about his story, and you brought your colleague with you, right? He's going to talk a little bit. Good to see you too. And it's something that, again, that we talk about overcoming challenges and overcoming things. And Matt has certainly had to overcome some things. So he is the owner and fitness director at EVO Health and Performance. He's a father, husband, leader, and life coach. And thanks for being here, Matt. Appreciate it.
First, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate your time. Bob's an amazing man.
They've got them. They have them on.
They don't have ours.
I don't. Absolutely, you have to do this.
So for me personally, everybody has a story, and I think it's important to be able to connect with people. People connecting with people. For me, about 16 years ago, my life changed pretty drastically in about 6 days. It left me very, very anxious, very depressed, and it also really brought me into suicidal points of my life. It had me really questioning of how I was going to go on with life, or how I was going to continue following my dreams and wanting to become all the things that I did want to achieve, which was being a father, being a husband, and being a leader inside of the fitness community. It's something that I've always wanted to do. So about 16 years ago, I lost my vision, leaving me legally blind, so extremely legally blind. blind where I see nothing, but very blind, so I can't see anybody. It's extremely blurred. I wasn't able to drive, couldn't read, couldn't write. And it happened to me when I was about 18 years old. I just got a great job at a beautiful facility, Central State Fitness and Wellness Center. Right out of school, I got certified to be a coach. I knew that's what I always wanted to do. Great opportunity. I started doing really, really well, and then it was a genetic disease that kind of just started happening, and it happened first as my heart rate and my blood pressure was elevated. So when I was working out, I got severely blurred, and my equilibrium was off. I was getting dizzy, and at first I thought I was really just having like a sick workout. So I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna keep going through this, right? And after I would settle down from the workout, it went back to normal. And that was like the first 2 days. By day 3 or 4, it happened, but then it stayed. And I'm like, this isn't right. And I woke up and it was semi-normal again. So I was like, okay. But then by like day 5, 6, 7, it was just staying. And it was heavier in one eye at first, and then it transferred to both eyes. And I was an 18-year-old kid. I just started doing well. I just got the truck I always wanted. I got a Trailblazer SS back then. It was sick. It was something I always wanted to have. It was really cool. And I was driving. I was loving it. And I remember feeling that feeling inside and just being like, something is really wrong. And I didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to tell my family. Like, I thought I could just power through it, but I just couldn't anymore. Like, I was like puking. My equilibrium was off. Like, I couldn't like figure out how to be, right? And now it got to the point where I had to drive and I had to try to continue my life, and it wasn't gonna work, So I remember coming home and telling my parents, and my parents were great. One thing that I'm super blessed with is having a really great support system, a lot of love, a lot of support through the whole process. And from there, it started with us going to doctors. Started with an eye doctor and them figuring out that something was really wrong, that they had no clue what it was. And it was a retina specialist, it was an optic nerve specialist, and it was a neurologist. It was blood work, it was CAT scans, it was spinal taps. I had multiple spinal taps. It was trying different medicines. It was all these things. This process almost took about a year long to really figure out. Finally, I ended up at the University of Pennsylvania, which was a teaching hospital, and I had to go through a couple more tests, and he's the one who officially put me through the genetic testing, and he said it could take up to 30 days, and it took all those 30 days. On the 30th day, I got a call, and it was positive for this genetic disease, which is called Leber's disease. So it's basically like optic neuropathy. So like my optic nerve, the signal from my eye, is not truly getting to my brain, which allows you to like see. So it's not a retinal, it's not something that could be fixed through magnification, like glasses and whatnot. It's something deeper. So I remember sitting there and just being like, all right, it was basically coming down to 2 options. It was going to be a rare form of Lyme's disease or this disease. So he said the rare form of Lyme's disease. I said, what happens if it's that? He's like, that's fixable. We put you on some steroids, IV. You'll be good. You'll have some stuff that you'll have to work through, but you'll be okay. I said, okay. I said, well, what if it's this? He's like, unfortunately, if it's that, there's no cure. There's nothing you can really do. He said, just live your most positive, healthy lifestyle that you can to take care of yourself and put yourself in the best position. But unfortunately, that's it. And he said also it is a genetic disease. So technically, like, I could wake up tomorrow and I could be fully blind. I could lose my vision fully. Or it could slowly regenerate itself back to normal or closer or better than what it was. I said, okay. So I remember that drive home. It was quiet, in the car, and it was a tough thing to process in my mind. And when I got home, that's when it really hit me hard, and it put me into a really bad state of depression, anxiety. And again, I said that I had a really great support system. So like, I was having these dark thoughts in my brain, but like I never acted on them, or I never took them to a different level. But it was just my brain, I think, just really questioning, like, how are you going to do the things that you want to do now? Like, how can you bring value? How can you serve others? How are you going to be able to get by every day? Like, and I think all these things were just overwhelming me so much. And I remember laying in my bed, and it took me a little while even to get out of my bed. The first few days were rough. And I remember my mom and my dad coming in and trying to spark my spirits and get me up. I remember their voices of just being positive and happy and energetic for me and trying to bring that energy. And, you know, at first I was just shutting it down, and then, you know, something inside of me from deep inside my heart and soul, as well as I did start, they also started bringing me like different audio books. So I started listening to Tony Robbins. I started listening to some of the guys that have been around for a long time speak on personal development and overcoming adversities. And I remember hearing certain things that stuck with me. And I remember just that first day of just getting up. And fitness was always a major part of my life. But at this point, I was in this dark place and I stopped everything. I was doing nothing. And I remember just getting up and going outside for a walk, just moving my body, simple. And I remember feeling like that change in my body from the natural hormonal shift that takes place in your body of your dopamine increasing, your cortisol dropping, and just that feeling of empowering yourself and getting that energy back. And from there, it was about stacking now. You know, we call it habit stacking now as we look back and we've developed different systems. Starting to habit stack. So it's like, okay, you wake up, you feel a certain way, you gotta get up. You gotta get up, you gotta start moving. It can be the most simplistic thing, but it has to be. And I started doing that. And then that led me to getting myself back to working out and lifting weights. I also built something outside of my house that I grew up, which was like an outdoor workout facility. So I had like tires, sledgehammers. We had like a whole running trail. I was working with the kids from my town that I grew up with, so I was working with a lot of the sports teams. So I always loved that, so I would go out there and I would just, you know, I would just be present, I would feel my energy, I'd work out, and I started stacking that up and I started building some great momentum, and I started believing that it was going to be possible, you know, and it was gonna take a lot of different modifications and alterations to how I was gonna do certain things, but one of the things that I always had, like I said, was that support system, and my support system was my immediate family. One of my best friends at the time, who's now currently my wife, she was a part of that journey with me. I had a couple buddies growing up that we were friends since early age, and as we grew through life, they were there. And I think that's important. It's important to have that support system around you that believes in you, and when you're not feeling yourself or believing in yourself, they're able to pick you up and remind you of the things that you've already done and the things that you're capable of. So I had that, and I just started stacking those days and stacking those wins one at a time. And I think what that led to was me wanting to develop and build something that can be that for others, right? Because then I started realizing as I got out in the world, like, not everybody has great support systems and trust and belief and love even, you know, around them. And I'm like, people need that. Like, I don't know where I would be if I didn't have that as like the starting point. And then all the other stuff that fell in place of working out and fitness and that type of stuff of bettering myself and shifting my energy inside. So I'm like, I need to build a place. I need to build a place where people could come, that they always know is going to be there. And during their darkest, hardest, most adverse times, they're going to come in. And they've done that. You know, I've had some really great experiences from, and they're not great, but it makes me proud. But I've had people just get diagnosed with cancer or something life-altering, and they'd come to us first, and they would open up and talk. I mean, I've had young kids leave their house in a fight. We had a kid recently with no shoes on, left his house and walked out in a fight. And I called the mom, we brought it in, we talked about it, and we worked through it together. But to know that kid he didn't know where to go. He walked out, he got in a fight, walked out of the house with his shoes off. But he came to our place, and he was able to unwind for a second. And I talked to him like a young man, and I talked to him how important relationship is, and you gotta hear your mom out. She wants the best for you, and to bring those worlds together. So it was about building that place first, and then it was also about understanding the industry and trying to fill the holes that are out in this industry. Because in the industry, there's a lot of either big box-style gyms, which are beautiful places, and they have all really nice stuff, but you may walk in and you're like, all right, what do I do now? Like, where do I go? When do I change something? When do I modify something? Or you go to some sort of group-style fitness, which is great as well, because there's a lot of good energy in the room, and there's guidance and leadership up front. But at the same time, there may not be those individual adjustments that need to take place, which could lead you to feeling discouraged or overwhelmed or trying to keep up with someone that maybe you shouldn't, and then you get hurt, and now you have a really bad experience, and then you're just like, this isn't for me, I'm done. So over the years, it's been about evaluating why people are successful and why are some people not, and how can we develop a product that is going to mitigate all the reasons why someone would quit or give up on themselves. And now, this has been my whole adult journey. So I started at 18. I worked at Central State till about 20 and a half or so, and then I left. I'm gonna be 35 years old this year, so it'll be 15 years of self-employment and trying to build something special, and really go against the grain of what fitness is, right? Because it should be about a long-term, sustainable-based journey. We wanted to eliminate this that we saw. People starting, people quitting, people getting overwhelmed, people giving up. One of the things that really gets to me too is that when people are going through some of the hardest times, whether it's in business or personal life, unfortunately, for some reason, personal development and fitness and taking care of yourself is one of the first things that we tend to give up. And I think it's really should be one of the last things that you give up, because that time alone, that time working on yourself, we talk about this a lot, that time to be in your own mind and in your own thoughts and to understand where you are and where you want to go. And I like to call purposeful adversity. Fitness is purposeful adversity. So it's about putting the proper things in front of you that's going to challenge you, but then you're going to win. And you're gonna stack momentum, and you're going to be like, I got this, I can do this, because you chose to put those things in front of you, and then you overcame them. And what that is like anything else in life. You could relate that to anything, right? Like I heard some of the stuff you guys were talking about earlier, and it's all really great stuff. And this is two different industries, but it starts with you as individuals and how you feel about yourself and how you can give that energy to others. Like when you're walking through and you're showing a place, it's an energy transfer. You want that person to be like, how do I not buy this place? Like this is like, right? Like you want to, but it's about the more you put time in on yourself, the better that you can be with connecting with other people, the better you can be with allowing to understand and listen to the different points that need to be hit, just because you're operating at a higher level. So at this point currently, I have a facility called Evo Health and Performance. My partner is a doctor, his name is Dr. TJ Martina, a physical therapist. And him and I have been in the industry just about the same amount of time. He's a little bit older than me. But we recently met about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I do believe in the universe, and I think everything happens for a reason, but I think that the times that we met in our lives was perfect, because we've both had our own individual experiences of understanding the good things and the bad. Almost like your mortgage, you pay your insurance, you brush your teeth, you take care of your fitness and your personal development. Like, it should be all the way up top there. And we wanted to make it so effortless for people. So what we have done is we've developed a system where we put you through a very in-depth evaluation process, which allows us to understand from your vitals, from body weight, body fat, your blood pressure, your oxygen level, to how you move, so your mobility, so how you move through space, to how you move through an exercise pattern and where you are currently, because we want to meet you where you are, right? Everybody has a meeting point, and that's a perfect spot to start. But we want to understand where you are so that we don't overwhelm you and give you something too hard or too much. And we also want to challenge you, so we don't want to give you something crazy easy. It's like, okay, like this is silly, like I feel like I'm wasting my time. So it's important for us to understand where you are, and we can take that information and develop the best plan and program that is individualized for you as a person, so we understand where you are currently. We take time to understand your past experiences in life, your past experiences in fitness, so that we can use that to then create your new futuristic plan, which I like to say is leading you towards creating your futuristic self, which should be the highest level version of yourself. Personally, professionally, you have to understand, how do you feel in that moment? How do you speak? How do you carry yourself? What is your reputation? How do people perceive you in life? Let's understand that person, and then let's backtrack and create a plan, day in and day out, that's going to help us get you there. And that's what we've done. We added in measurables. So measurables allow us to gauge something, whether it could be a push-up, a pull-up test, it could be grip strength, it can be a cardiovascular-based test on your heart rate, but something that's specific to you, because every month you get retested on something, and that's for two reasons. Number one, to show you the hard work you're putting in, your time, your energy, your effort, your finances that you're investing is working, but then also to hold us accountable as coaches to say, hey, like, are you doing all these things? If you are, we need to look deeper. So then we also can go deeper than that. We can understand and track your food intake, times and what you're eating. We can also track your habits. So we understand, like, what does a day look like for you? What does a week look like? What does a month look like? Where are there things in there that maybe we need to adjust or manipulate so that we can see, right? Because as we have things in front of us, like our KPIs, right? I'm sure you guys study that in all different ways, from your calls to your emails to your in-person meetings, to then how those translate to actually getting that person in front of you or being that person, right? Like when that person is ready, you want to stay relevant so that they reach out to you. So same thing for us. We try to stay very relevant in people's lives so that when they're ready to make that lifestyle change, they call us. But now when you call us, we want to be able to track stuff to say, hey, you've been putting in all this hard work and all this time, and look what it's doing for you now. And that does a couple things, right? It motivates you, it inspires you, it motivates you to keep doing it. And then it also shows you, like, just like for me, like, I can do this. Like, no matter where you start, you can only move up as long as you never give up. And I think that has been something that we've seen major success with. And I think the industry has such a stigma towards it because everybody has had their own experience, which in a little while I'm gonna have Jameson talk about his experience because he has his own amazing story of his own personal journey. But then when he met us, it allowed him to really appreciate what we do because he was able to add his hardcore, gritty, persistent work ethic, but then was able to tag that on top of our education, our like-minded approach to life. Being around like-minded people is very important. So he's going to talk a little bit about that soon, but that's what we want. We want to build a community of people that take pride in the things that they do in their personal life and in their professional life, and how we can help aid them to become their best self. And when moments get hard and adversity sticks, you know where to go, you know who to call, and you know how to stick to your plan. Because we have also been able to minimize things down. I like to call recreating your minimal standard. So if you, on your hardest days, or maybe even every day right now, you may do nothing, and that's okay. But we need to draw a new line in the sand. Like, we need a new minimal standard line. So on my hardest, worst days, I at least go for a 10-minute walk outside. I have no phone, I'm just present, I'm feeling the fresh air, I'm breathing, I'm in my own thoughts. So what that does, though, is you eventually start drawing that line a little higher, where you actually understand that when times are really hard and you can just grit through and start working, you feel a specific way after. And we teach people to become addicted to the feeling. Like, the work instills the worth. So when you can stay connected and addicted to the feeling that you have after overcoming your own purposeful adversity, it reminds you why you're going to start. And you grit through it for a couple minutes, and then all of a sudden your body's like, okay, let's do this. And then what that also does, and we talk about this, is it translates into your professional life as well, or your personal life when you're working through those things. So when you set a goal for yourself that you have to hit 50 calls today, and you hit 45, and you're hungry, you're tired, like you want to go home, like you say to yourself, no, I'm going to make these 5 last calls. Like, I'm going to make these 5 last calls because that 5th call, the last one of the day, could be the one where the person, like Bob said earlier, oh my God, it's crazy to hear from you. My daughter actually just went away to school, and me and my husband were just talking about downsizing, or my wife, whatever it is. I'm so happy you called. Boom, there you go. And now you just reconnected. So it's always going to be that little extra push. But I think it's important to be able to put yourself in those situations and scenarios on a regular basis so that your body and your mind understand what to do when you feel like you don't want to do it, or you feel like you just want to be done. you know how to grit through and you understand why you do that. So I'm trying to keep it nice and short, nice and tight. We'll have some time after and mingle and talk. If anybody has questions, I'm very open to that as well. But just know, number one, like I said, I'm grateful for Bob for bringing me here, and I think he really understands how to connect with people, and I think he's a great leader already from what he's done, from coming to my original seminar and having me here. He really cares about you guys, and he knows that the more you take care of yourself, the more you're going to win, the more you all win as a team. He wins, you win, everybody wins. And I think that's a very special thing, and I think you guys should be grateful for that, number one. Number two, I'm very grateful to be here today, and hopefully this won't be our last time to connect.
Your only teammate. And sometimes you have to be the person who's coaching you. You have to be the person who's criticizing you. You have to be the person that's rooting for you, right? So where I come from in my own journey, I'm from North Carolina. I grew up a country boy, and my first step of adversity was moving to New Jersey. Whew! Let me tell y'all something, bro. When I had that, you ever see the video? I might be dating myself a little bit being younger. There's a video of a kid said, I look like a burnt chicken nugget, but I still love myself. Little chubby thing, that was me. So I came here and I wanted everybody to be my friend, and that's just not what the world is these days. So I went around and I kept that positivity, moving side to side everywhere I went. So as I grew up, I started to realize that, weight was going to keep packing itself on. I like food, my family likes food, and I never really saw the importance of what food does for you and how it impacts you. I just know that mom made dinner every night and it was good, and that was pretty much it. That's how far I went. Fast forward a little bit, after the passing of my grandfather in 5th grade, I started playing football in 6th grade. And that was my first introduction to kind of being physical, moving around, having a reason to be in shape. And I was so far behind. I couldn't run a lap around the football field near half. I couldn't, do any of the other things that these kids could do. And it was frustrating. And I felt very isolated in that because I was the biggest kid on the team, every team I played for. So, moving forward, I decided that if there was going to be something, that's going to change, I'm going to have to change. I know you guys figured out nothing changes. So, through this journey of football, I started losing weight. I started, focusing a little bit more on what I was eating, but not so much. Just still, let me eat a little bit less, or maybe I won't have the Cheetos, right? And then it wasn't until my junior year going into senior year, that I realized I was like, you really need to lose some serious weight. You have people looking at you to go play college. You have people looking at you to be the guy in our family that's going to go to college and do this, that, and the third. So I'm going to lose this weight and it needs to come off fast. And this point that I'm going to make to you guys right now is about the importance of doing things the correct way. Because in my senior year of high school, I lost 100 pounds. I was 390 pounds, and I got down to 290 pounds for my senior season. Had a great season, balled out, did my thing, right? But I was sick. I was very sucked out. I was very malnourished. I was moving through the hallways with no emotion, no personality, no charisma, none of my shine that I normally have. And so I started to notice this difference. Some of my friends started to notice this difference. And I also had a condition called gynecomastia. Gynecomastia is like the medicinal term for man boobs. There's no other way to say it. But I had a very severe case because I was adopted at the age of 2 years old. My birth mother was doing some things she shouldn't have been doing. And thankfully, the only thing that I came out of with that was a hormone imbalance. So my hormones were a little messed up. So big boy, put on some size. But another thing I came out of it with was poor coping skills. So my mentality when things are necessarily supposed to break you is really just be calm and try your best to weave your way through it, right? So that also works against you sometimes, things that should make you really happy, make you sad. But besides that point, once I realized that the gynecomastia was going to go away, and I lost all this weight, and I still have this condition going on, I got really depressed. And that was the first time I really experienced what it's like to feel depression and be 18 years old, 19 years old, and not really understand, what are we going to do about this? Now, like I told you, I was supposed to play football. I was supposed to go to Rowan University. I went there for 30 days. Dean came down and said, hey man, your financial aid is not working out, so either you're going to have to pay up and figure that out, or you're going to go home. So I said goodbye to everybody on the team because I'm not paying that. Went home and made it work from there. Went to community college. Now my point in this is, what you think your direction is and what you work for is not necessarily the correct path for you always. So being this big, when you play football, that was still hurts a little bit. But my point is that I got really depressed and I went home and I started eating. And I gained this is working clearly. So tracking the right results and working towards the right things is very important. So making sure that you understand what's behind what you're about to do is a piece of advice that I would have. But further I get to my point. So that started a journey for myself. I'm going to share something with you about how your team really matters. Your teammates and the people that love you are not going to be the people that look you in the face and tell you, you're doing a great job every single day. They're going to be the people that look at you like my best friend. We came from the mall one day, and we were working out in his garage. I'd never touched the gym yet. I was too ashamed, and I'd never gone out on a run because I was still huge. And I was working out in his garage for about 2 months. Went to the mall, came back home. He said, "Hey, lift at my house, 9 o'clock. Don't be late." And I'm just messing with him a little bit. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, what are you gonna do if I'm late?" He said, "Do yourself a favor. Go inside and look in the mirror and tell me if you want to be late." That's the moment I still get chills from because it changed my life. I showed up to that workout, I worked my ass off, as I do, and it gave me, I was a little mad at it, right? But it took a little while for me to realize that's what love is. That's my best friend to this day. He's 3 hours away, and I talk to him almost every single day. That is forever grateful to him. So gratitude is also a huge thing. I want to double on for him. All right. So from this point on, it was time. Started working my ass off every day in his garage. Got myself a job at LA Fitness. Started working in the commercial gym. Started putting myself in the environment. And I learned something from this because I was heavy still at this point, right? So I'm going to fast forward. I'm going through my weight loss journey. I was blessed enough to be able to work out after hours and get my time in without having to feel the pressure of a gym. So many people there looking at you at the time, it can be a little much for you when you're not that confident. I went, COVID came around. We had COVID leave. My birthday, March 16th. I walk in, Mike's like, "Hey, you ready to go home, right?" I said, "For my birthday?" He said, "No, we don't have a job." I was like, "Okay, cool." So now I'm like, in my head, I'm like, "Bet. So what are we gonna do? I've been working out. That's the only thing to do now. We keep working out." So I kept working out. Boom, dropped another 50 pounds. This was completely on my own. Now it's time for an intervention. So my father had been a huge advocate for getting surgery to get rid of the gynecomastia because we had realized at this point it's not going to go away. You can work your ass off every single day to the day you die. It's not going to go away. So we're going to get rid of it. Doctor didn't want to meet with me. This is the point about not judging a book by its covers to relate to you guys. Anybody that you're speaking to, you never really fully know their situation until you get to know their heart, right? My dad pushed for me day in and day out. He called the doctor's office 7 times. The doctor said, "I don't think that he's a good candidate. 6'4", 360 pounds. He's like, I think I was 20, 21 at the time. Like, that's not a good candidate. I don't want to touch it." He said, "Please just talk to him and hear him out." And I went in there. I spoke with the doctor. He separated us, and it's just me and him. We had this whole conversation. I told him the story I'm telling you guys today. By the end of that, I was blessed enough for him to sponsor my surgery. So I was able to get gynecomastia surgery at only the cost of the operating room for my condition. That was the next step of something I didn't know was going to change my entire life. So I have a 30-inch scar from this side to this side of my chest, across. At 21 years old, they start giving you pain medication, right? That's our system. This is another big important piece for why you should understand what you put into your body. I didn't necessarily understand what that medicine was going to do. I knew it was going to take the pain away. I knew it was going to make me have an easier time. I didn't realize that by the end of that prescription, I was going to want more. So from that point, I had a decision to make. If I go and get another bottle, once they cut that off, I'm hooked. If I make a decision now to go through the pain of dealing with the withdrawal or whatever it is, I'm freeing myself from that up. So I chose the medicinal route, not the medicinal route, I chose the holistic route rather than the medicinal route. And I started going through my diet. And this was the first time I really started educating myself on the food that I put in. And then it just clicked. How many of y'all are fans of exotic cars? Everybody loves a good exotic car, right? The Lambo's beautiful, Ferrari's beautiful. Not all about materialistic things. It's about what it takes to make that car move. It's premium fuel, right? I listen to a lot now that I'm interested in this stuff about our food system in America and the culture that we have towards putting low quality fuel in a high quality vehicle is something that has become way too normal. And my mission, along with Matt, is to bring the understanding and awareness to what you put in is what you get out. You can hear that time and time again, but I'm a living example of it. Now let's go back. I started working at LA Fitness again, post-COVID, post-weight loss, post-surgery. Which guy do you think made more sales? differently based on how you treat yourself. I was very tired of people just kind of pushing me to the side. My jokes weren't funny. This conversation never completed because they didn't want to listen. Because who's going to respect you when you don't respect yourself, right? And that's something I had to learn from, sadly, it shouldn't be that way. We should treat everybody with the same respect. But at the same time, when you see somebody is not, pertaining to their daily habits and keeping up with themselves, what makes you think they're going to keep up with your project, right? What makes you think that you're going to keep up with the sale that you're working on? So it's very important to me, and I think it should be important to every single one of you guys, that the food that you're putting in your body, as well as the movements that you're doing with your body. Now, this is where Evo comes in for me. I've always had this hard-nosed, grit, football, lift-heavy, grunt mentality. If something hurts, work through it, and show up every single day, or else you're BITC. So from there, I just have this mentality of, I'm gonna go. And this year, me and my friends started a run club. Like I said, I was a kid that couldn't run half a lap. I run 3 miles now, I'm about to run 5K. This type of stuff has made me see what's possible for anybody. I'm not a specialty, I'm not a feat. I think that what I've accomplished is great. I think that if any one of you have a goal for yourself physically, or don't have a goal for yourself physically, together. But the goal that you have physically is so achievable. And from reaching that small goal that you have, because you're going to realize how small it is of the goal that you set for yourself, you're going to realize how important it is to start understanding why you're moving your body that way. Why does mine started with this. When I run, I gallop a little bit. I got that big boy stature, so I'm trying to learn how to run as like a human, not like as like a big dude. So when it comes to that stuff, thankfully my girlfriend brought us together. And the second I met Matt, I was like, dude, where has this guy been my entire life? Just the energy that I needed. And I was kind of finding myself in a little bit of a slump. Like I said, I'm 23 years old. I'm figuring this stuff out day by day. And not every day is positive, but every day is consistent with the non-negotiables, like he was talking about. There's things when I wake up in the morning, I know for a fact that I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to move my body in some way, shape, or form. Not only because I care about the way that I look physically, although that is a plus, I care about how I feel. There's a lot of days you wake up, and I'm a freelancer, so I'd like to mention to you guys that my full-time job, I'm a social media content creator, with over 500,000 followers on social media. I've been blessed with that this year, to be able to share my story and inspire people through fashion and fitness. Now, with having that responsibility, I feel a need to kind of uphold that standard. So when it comes to Evo, they're pushing me to the next level of figuring out, why am I galloping when I run? My shoulder kind of feels weird when I'm doing this. And not only are they just like, oh, you need to start moving it this way. It's the mental coaching of buying in to why the little things matter most. And I agree with him 100%, not only because that's my boy, but my fitness journey started with a walk. My mom got sick, okay? She came down with ovarian cancer. And that just shattered my world. She's okay now. She's come through it and she has beat that. So that's something that God has also blessed us with. But that moment when I heard that and she told me that just broke me to my core, because I've lost a lot of people in my life due to cancer. And if we take a second to look at where cancer comes from your diet. Most often than not, it can be reversed with your diet. So that's where I started taking attack on her, and it would not stick. She's stuck in her ways, want to eat that way, but I was able to convince her to come on a walk. So start coming on a walk with me. I took her to the reservoir, let's go for a walk. I don't want to walk, come on, let's go for a walk. Come on, let's go for a walk. I forgot to mention, my mother's 65, my father is 70 years old. God bless his heart. So there's a little bit of age gap, and there's that generational gap. And sometimes I feel like the biggest shame is that for whatever age you are, you're never too old to move your body if it moves. If this thing moves, move it. If this moves, move it. You know what I'm saying? If you don't move it, you lose it. So kind of to wrap this up here, my biggest point is that you can be great at what you do. You can be great at your job. You can be great at talking to people, whatever it is. You will never be your best self if you're not putting the best in and forcing yourself to get the best out of you when nobody's around. So when it comes to what I have planned with Evo, is phase 2. This is my last point. It's about finishing through your goals. Something in football that they would tell us all the time, we're running sprints. You know, the lazy kids, myself, I would run to the line and not through the line. So they say 10-yard sprint. Now, that's how I got to that 10 yards. I'm done here. Back in line. But from here, I realized like running through the line translates over into everything. Like once I had this goal of trying to be 300 pounds of abs, I learned a very hefty lesson from this. That was my only goal. My goal was like, once I see that, I'm gonna be happy because that means that I've done everything I needed to do to get here, and that means we must be done. There was no like furthering. I'm gonna lose this weight. That's it. And you hear people say it all the time. Yeah, I gotta lose 20 pounds. I gotta lose this, whatever, right? When I got to 300 pounds of abs, I was cool. I stopped doing the things that got me the abs because I was already here. I'm like, dude, we're not gonna work out for anymore. Now I got the body. I'm good. And then I just realized, like, you know, through gaining some of that weight back again and being like, hold on, man. What were we talking about? What did you talk about setting that new bottom line for yourself? My bottom line is if I see a certain number on the scale, you are so beyond the line, you need to get back. So that's where finishing through your goal is not just trying to reach what you set out for yourself. Focus on the bigger goal behind that. And you're pushing through to that. This is just a checkpoint. You know what I'm saying? Thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate it. And thank you, Matt, and you guys for having us over here.
What do you guys think?